thank you, Saurabh, for the go ahead. Namaste and welcome to another webinar by the Destination Knowledge Center. My name is Kuntil Barua, and today's topic is a fascinating one, folk tradition of Bengal. It is a journey I can guarantee no guidebook is going to tell you about. Uh, On this journey, we are going to crisscross through entire Bengal, uh, starting from down south to all the way up to Kuch Bihar of in North Bengal. Kuch Bihar, whose royal house gave India Rajmata Gayatri Devi. She is from the Kuch royal house. And please welcome to tell us more, Shubhamoy Banerjee. Thank you, Shubhamoy, for being with us today. Shubhamoy holds a master degree in modern Indian history from the University of Calcutta. He is by passion an explorer of the hidden treasures of the Indian subcontinent, an avid cyclist, and a collector of vintage motorbikes. Shubhamoy is a licensed guide approved by the Government of India and the Archaeological Survey of India, Eastern Circle, and he is widely traveled in India, Bhutan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Myanmar. Shubhamoy is also fluent in English and French. Over to you, Shubhamoy.
Thank you, Kuntil. Please allow me to mute my video.
Yeah, we better save some bandwidth today.
So, folk tradition of Bengal, when I'm talking about, first allow me to introduce the province of Bengal, which is remaining at the easternmost part of India. Kuntil, in my next slide, can you please come back to West Bengal's map? Divided by 23 districts right from Bay of Bengal, which is famous for the mangrove forests of Sundarbans, National Reserve for Royal Bengal tigers, and we are going to take a journey up to the high altitude of Himalayan, Eastern Himalayan district of Darjeeling, then Jalpaiguri, Kuch Bihar. It will be a fascinating journey. The folk tradition is scattered all over Bengal, which is very difficult to explore in one single go. So I tried to put it in a certain routing. In my next slide, you can see how I have gone through surface transport by driving. We are beginning, of course, from Kolkata city, taking first the right-hand side blue line going to God Khali, which is the anchoring point to the boat to explore Sundarbans. Then we are coming back to Kolkata city once again to go to further another district to south, Midnapore district, and our destination will be Noyagram and Pingla. From there, we are coming via Kolaghat to Jhargram. I chalked out this route based on wherever a night stay can be arranged if required. From Jhargram district, we are heading to Bankura district. Our night halt will be in Bishnupur. From Bishnupur, we are going to deep west part of West Bengal, Baghmundi. It's a tribal village at the foothills of Ayodhya Hills, where there are a lot of possibilities of cycle tours also, but I am exploring only folk tradition here. Then via Gaur Panchakot, we are coming towards the center part of West Bengal province via Durgapur, Bardhaman district. And then from Bardhaman coming to a fascinating area, Krishnanagar, where you can expect a certain cultural shock when I talk about the music tradition of folk music tradition of Bengal. From there, we are heading through NH31, National Highway 31, touching Murshidabad, Malda, Dinajpur, Raiganj to Shiliguri, which is the base of Darjeeling district. And from there, we will turn right towards Jalpaiguri and Kuch Bihar district. This is our route. So when I talk about the folk tradition of Bengal, what do I mean by folk tradition? I mean the connectivity of the common mass with their everyday life and living, reflected in their sense of aesthetics, found in their toys, paintings, fairs and festivals, their fear and insecurity, thus seeking a kind of protection from the unknown superior one, their religious cult, music and dances. The integrated expression of all these elements can be defined as folk culture. At times in Bengal, this culture is free from India's dominant Vedic Brahminical cult of Hinduism. Let's begin from Kolkata. See, in any rural society, the potters always played a major role. And when I talk about Kolkata village, the history of Kolkata village can be easily traced back even 1,000 and 1,200 years ago. Very prosperous, rich, agriculturally rich village and trading center. Still, the pottery tradition in this city is vibrant in a block called Kumartuli. The clay icons of the gods and goddesses in making that you are seeing in the slide are on high demand among the NRI, non-residential Indians living abroad during annual Hindu festival of Durga Puja, which occurs normally in the month of October. The Malakar community working with Shola pits, they work on a complementary basis with the potters in the same block who supplies the Shola pits jewelry to decorate the whole composition of the deity. And they actually are carrying on a legacy of ivory carvers of Bengal. In imperial period of Bengal, ivory carving was a fine carving style or carving culture in Bengal, which gradually died when ivory became very expensive and finally contraband. So they became jobless. Their skills found expression in the ivory wood. This shola pit, when you remove the brown skin of the top, the inner surface is white as ivory. So they took up the ivory wood and started carving the same old things as they used to do. In my next slide, you can imagine the Mayurpankhi Nauka, or a luxury houseboat with peacock head. The best of such ivory carvings possibly you can see in Salarjung Museum in Hyderabad. This is an example of the same thing replicated in Shola pits. So let us take a journey deep south of Bengal. Now, in my next slide, we are going to Godkhali, anchoring point to board our boat. We are heading to the mangrove forest area where man and tiger live together. So the life is difficult. Water is salty. Very little agriculture is possible. People living there are going to the forest to fetch honey and for fishing, regularly risking their life. So they have a lot of fear of getting attacked by tigers. In this mangrove forest, 100% tiger population is identified as man-eater. And historically, with the domination, area domination of Sundarbans 18 low tide delta, there was a conflict between the Islamic invaders and the local predominantly Hindu people. So this conflict finally came into a compromise and finally a confluence. Naturally, when these people, when they go to the jungle, they worship Dakshin Rai, the tiger, symbolically representing Dakshin Rai, the lord of the south. And to the right, coming from the Islamic parameter, Bon Bibi, Bibi of the forest or keeper of the forest, with her younger brother, Shah Jangali. So they were in a conflict, and Gaji Baba, the extreme left that you see, the Muslim Pir or a Sufi saint, he mediated the peace between them. Naturally, when these people, the villagers, now when they go to the forest, they worship everybody together. Gaji Baba, Bon Bibi, Shah Jangali and Dakshin Rai, to have their protection so that they are not killed by any accidental attack of a tiger inside the jungle. And Hindus and Muslims both worship with the same ritual at the same time. It's a fine confluence of both faiths. Again, these statues are made by the potters. Please remember that it is made by the potters. And then, how do they worship? In my next slide, you will see when the fishing boats go inside the narrow canals, just at the canal mouth, they create this kind of temporary temple with bamboo and thatch. They place the deity or a symbol of the deity as a tiger, and with a lot of flowers and garlands, they worship, they seek the protection, and then they go inside. South 24 Parganas has a very strong heritage of clay pottery, which is also producing a lot of toys for the kids. And these toys are very, very interesting. Sometimes they derive a kind of heritage from the Harappan pottery also. Gradually we will see. Mostly the main potters make the pottery, and then the women of the family, they paint them. Used to be in pure vegetable dye. These days they use also watercolor, synthetic watercolor. But these toys, if you have a closer look in my next slide, first one is another representation of goddess Durga as a beloved mother to the little Ganesha on her lap. This is a very different expression of the deity worshipped. But on the basket, so many animals that you see, you cannot imagine by looking at them like this, but there are piggy banks. Normally at the head part of these animals, there is a slit. They are all made of two different molds for the rear part and the front part. They are joined together. So in between, inside is hollow, bottom is sealed. From the top, the slit, we insert a coin, which is our savings. So the parents give these toys with the education to grow a savings habit among them. Thus, by playing with these little toys, the children are grown with a kind of habit of small savings and a sense of dignity. So in the next village fair time, they do not ask for the pocket money from the father. They will break that animal to get their cash to enjoy in this village festival. And then again, they will buy another toy to continue their savings for the next festival. It's very interesting. Let's proceed a little further. These are some of the toys, and in the toys, you can see a lot of deities. As you can quickly identify Ganesha and Shiva, I'm going to somebody else. You can see two strange looking faces without any arm or any leg. They are made in the form of water vessels. We call it ghat, inverted on the ground. And the bottom part is on the top. The bottom part, they create a crown and paint the face of a man and a woman. This man's face is Dakshin Rai, otherwise represented by a tiger, lord of the south. And the woman is Dakshin Rai's mother, Narayani, coming from the Hindu parameter. They also make this, so in certain cases, you can see just these two heads being worshipped for the protection. That was South 24 Parganas. If we proceed further to the districts of Hooghly and Howrah, you can see this kind of wheel, toys with wheel. As I was talking about, visibly they are bearing the lineage from the Harappan toys of terracotta. Still produced widely in the villages. Shall we proceed to the next slide, Kuntil? Very interesting, scattered in all over West Bengal. You find this kind of cults everywhere. They are dolls, but they are holy dolls. The three figures that you see from left to right is Kuvera, the celestial treasurer, Lakshmi, the deity of the prosperity at the middle, and at the left, as extreme right, it is Lakshmi, the negative or bad Lakshmi. If Lakshmi enters with Kuvera in the house, you have prosperity. But by any chance, if Lakshmi is entering into the house, your prosperity will be completely ruined. So this particular icon of Lakshmi in yellow, it is made of cow dung. And after the worshipping is done, it is not immersed like other clay icons of the festival, but it is carried in a broken rice paddy shaker to dehusk. We call it kulo. And then it is taken to a jungle area or on a bush where it is banged on the ground to crash, and then we come back without looking back, thinking that our Lakshmi has finally left home. Our home will be flourishing in prosperity. Very interesting. You get to see that all over Bengal. Next slide. As we are proceeding towards slightly north, adjacent to Calcutta, in Howrah and Hooghly district mainly, but also everywhere during the festival times. First, you see the Ravana, the demon king of Ceylon, who kidnapped the wife Sita of Rama. So during Jhulan Yatra, which is a festival related to Krishnaite legends, the little boys create the village scene of Vrindavana and Mathura, where they animate with clay toys all the scenes of Krishna's legends, his life in the village. And then comes also in continuity the other incarnation of Vishnu, Rama. So certain episodes of Ramayana are also created with these dolls by the little kids. So we can understand they are keen in their mythology. They are learning about it. They are given a free hand to create these scenes with their own imagination. And the next one, Diwali toys. During Deepavali, you all know that we light up all our houses with oil lamps. These are oil lamps made of clay using two different techniques, potter's wheel and hand pressure and finger pressure. So bottom 3 cups are actually oil lamps. They can be of 2 cups, 2 oil lamps, and it can go up to 32 oil lamps together. Particularly found during the Deepavali or end October festival time. Shall we proceed to the next destination, Kuntal? Here in Shaurafuli, particularly in West Bengal's adjacent to Kolkata, Shaurafuli will be about 46 kilometers from the city of Kolkata. We call it Rani Putul. Rani is a queen. In the colonial era, on our hand-molded or made by hand pressure ordinary clay dolls also came an imposition of Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria in mid-19th century was one of the dominant European characters on our culture. So the local potters, they started imitating Queen Victoria's hairstyle and the designs of her robe. So clearly you can see in this robe, her frock is having European motifs, not really Oriental designs. So imitating Queen Victoria, it became Queen Putul, Queen doll, in Bengali, Rani Putul. Interesting colonial impact. So we are coming back to Kolkata from Sundarban, but we will be heading to the other side of the river Hooghly to Midnapore district. Our destination is Noyagram. Now, Noyagram, it's very special. It's a village of the scroll painters. Now, scroll painters always played a very, very major role as historians in different regions of India. As you know, even in Rajasthan, the legends and annals and antiquities of Rajasthani royal families were practically a collection of their nomadic scroll painter poets in their stories. Here in Bengal, we have this Pottochitrakar or scroll painters who are at the same time traditional, contemporary, and international. This is the class of people, they created the famous Kalighat painting school. But when we go there in this village, the landscape will be fascinating. You will go through rice paddy fields. Please remember, in West Bengal, we are having 4 crops of rice paddy, and also another fascinating area of floriculture, where acres after acres, you will see they are growing different kinds of flowers coming to the wholesale flower market of Kolkata city and finally being exported to Delhi, Bangalore, Bombay, everywhere, even from the field directly. So when we reach to this village, you'll be surprised that you are entering actually into a very humble village, very humble village. Among 71 families in this village, 68 of them are Muslims. And they paint traditionally all the legends of Hindu mythology and sing it. traveling from village to village. So you can imagine here, Hindu children are learning about their mythologies in the deep inside regions from Muslim scroll painters. And these Muslim scroll painters, they never write their Islamic surname after the name. They all write Chitrakar or scroll painter. We are here at the house of Rani Chitrakar singing a certain legend with her granddaughter. But if we proceed a little further, I told you that they are contemporary. To suit the contemporary market demand, here somebody is painting a t-shirt with a Santal tribal dance motif. So you can collect your t-shirt from Noya village, but the actual surprise is still waiting for you. Ladies and gentlemen, let us go to somebody else's place. See, this is a cover page of a book. Now, many of the Bengalis in big city of Kolkata, they do not know even the situation or location of Noya village. They have heard of it. But in 1970s, they were already known in US by the publishers. So it is a biography, illustrated biography written by Arthur Flowers. It is illustrated by Manu Chitrakar of Noya village, where we are now in Midnapore district. And look at the illustration done by Manu Chitrakar in 1970s. This book was for a very long time bestseller in US. To the next slide, please, Kuntil. These are the illustration to depict the biography of Martin Luther King. And these are the painters who created legendary Kalighat painting school of Kolkata in colonial period. Leaving the village, coming to a big city, they adopted the usage of imported color from Germany. And here I would particularly draw your attention to the line drawing of the head, hairstyle, hands, and legs. This is done by Manu's nephew, Anwar Chitrakar, who has also worked in the decoration of International Airport of Mumbai, the new one. This is created by Anwar. A Bengali babu is going with a fish back home from the market and being disturbed by the crows. That's what he has painted here. The second painting. Let us proceed to the next one, remembering these two painting style. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a Kalighat painting. No, it is Henri Matisse. Kalighat painters influenced a whole generation of European painters. Rudyard Kipling purchased Kalighat paintings in bulk, sold in Paris. The buyers were Georges Braque, Pablo Picasso, Fernand Léger, Henri Matisse. This is an example of Henri Matisse. And the second one, if you go, you will understand how they influenced the development of Cubism of Pablo Picasso and Braque. This is also from Henri Matisse. The same line drawing, just broken into Cubism. They are so very international and hiding in a remote district in a deep inside village. 68 Muslim families painting Hindu mythological stories. Isn't it wonderful? But this is not the end. We are into Pingla block of Midnapore district, which produces a very strange kind of floor mattress called Madhur out of grass. It is not, it is woven in a loom, a very crude kind of loom, looks like a loom for weaving a sari or a textile, but it's a very crude kind of thing. What the gentleman is weaving, it's beautiful. In my next slide, you can see the designs. The green and green combination is just two different colors of the grass. One is dried and one is not so dried. And then the red combination is made with cotton threads. These are the floor mattress produced in Midnapore district. They also produce Jaya Namaz, or the floor carpet, to pray for the Muslim community, and being exported to Middle East in huge quantity. So this was Midnapore district. We still have a long way to go. So via Kolaghat, Gopiballapur, we are heading to Jhargram district. From Jhargram district, we'll be traveling for quite some time into the westernmost part of West Bengal in the districts of Jhargram, Purulia, Bankura. This is a dense tribal area where the tribes are like Santals, Mundas, Shabars, Lodhas, Oraos, and Kurmis. And then there are a bunch of very low caste people in Hindu Vedic parameter, discriminated by the laws of touchability and untouchability, etc. So they have grown their own cults based on their everyday experience in their livelihood. Our night stay will be in Jhargram Royal Palace, which is an heritage accommodation, beautiful, comfortable, and the family extends a real hospitality. You'll love it. But our destination is to explore the local culture. Let us proceed a little further. Here, in the dense forest in the jungle where medical facility is always inadequate, but they have to survive. How do they do it? The red gentleman on a bull looks like Shiva sitting. He is Baba Panchananda. Almost Shiva, but or another emanation of Shiva in a very folk form. He is normally assisted, accompanied by two more people, Pecho and Kecho. This Pecho and Kecho, they create deadly diseases for the newborn children. Pecho creates tetanus and Kecho creates ricket. So to save the newborn babies from tetanus because of septic or later on from ricket, you must have the blessings of Baba Panchananda, their master, and if he is pleased, there will be no danger for the children, and the offerings will be sacrificing bird like a rooster or a pigeon or an animal like goat or a pig, and offering cannabis and rice alcohol in abundance. It's a festivity in the village. The next one, Dharmaraja. Dharmaraja is a very strange kind of godhead. The scholars identify the cult of Dharmaraja is hidden Buddhism into the tribal society. I need a lot more time to talk about Dharmaraja because his representation in the whole region is in different forms. Rarely we can see a statue like this, mostly under a big ficus tree. They create the seat of Dharmaraja where they bring terracotta animals as sacrifice. No living animal is sacrificed here. We can proceed a little further to see another beautiful cult, Tushu. Tushu in Midnapore and Bankura, Purulia is widely celebrated. She is practically a Kurmi girl, met a tragic end of her life, committed suicide for certain reason, and then much later she became a cult figure, very beloved daughter of the family, who also protects the family and brings prosperity when resides at our home in her spirit. So Tushu festival for a whole month is celebrated mostly by the women, and there is no priest. Only the women will sing the songs dedicated to Tushu with this kind of colorful icons placed at one corner of the house. And the last day, the Tushu singing will go on for the whole night. Next morning, in an earthen bowl filled with rice paddy, the Tushu's figure, if there is, will be placed, or it will be just decorated with one oil lamp and a lot of colorful paper flags. It will be floated into the river. That is the immersion of Tushu. Similarly, we will have another icon, Bhadu, a little later. Between Tushu and Bhadu, we still have something interesting. Let us go to Bishnupur. Bishnupur is a divisional town in Bankura district. We will go via Simlapal and Taldangra, which are dense forest area, thickly populated by all these tribes. In Bishnupur, there is a comfortable stay, but we are here to explore, other than the textile of Bishnupur, certain terracotta tradition. And the terracotta tradition is gorgeous in Bishnupur. As you see, these beautiful temples, they are brick and cement construction, and then, not cement, I'm sorry, rubble construction, and then decorated with terracotta panels depicting the legends of Krishna or the episodes of our epics Ramayana and Mahabharata. What you see here, it is a Ras dance festival of Krishna, where Krishna is dancing along with her 1600 gopis in a circular rotating motion. There is a huge legend attached to it, and then there is a Ras dance festival performed in Bishnupur every year. All the villagers participate in this festival. This is very colorful, but you are seeing at a terracotta decorative panel in a temple. There are several temples, and what you see, the temple architecture of Bishnupur is representing typical Bengal's architectural style, which is very different from North Indian Nagara or South Indian Dravidian style. But here we are to explore our folk tradition, ladies and gentlemen. Let us go into a village. We are going to the village of the potters called Pachamura. They make in potter's wheel beautiful animals like horses, elephants, tigers, etc. And these are all used in their folk religious rituals or festivals. How? Let us get inside the village. When we stop our car, you can see the bad productions are just dumped underneath a tree. They are discarded. And how they make it? They make it in potter's wheel. All parts of a horse or an elephant are made in a cylindrical form. 4 legs and the body are 5 different cylinders. The neck part will be another cylinder, and they are then joined together with the same clay, sun dried, and then baked in a furnace. So this is for baking. It is done. So burnt pieces that you can see. And finally, they bring it home for display and sell. In that village, again, 70 families, 100% population are the same potter's family. When you enter into the village, left and right, go free to any home, you will see people are working like this. That's a certain wonderful area in my region, catering to the religious cults of the tribes. We will follow the lady to her home, see certain displays. Well, this one is particular. Like Pachmura, there is another village called Sandra. In Sandra village, they produce this elephant called Bonga. Bonga is offered by the Santal community to their main deity, Singh Bonga. So the local potters who are not Santals, they produce this elephant for the need of the Santals. And these horses and elephants are also offered to the seat of Dharmaraja, which is a hidden Buddhism. And you see, since it is a non-Vedic elephant, it is having its both tusks, not like Ganesha, one tusk broken. That's a fascinating feature. But we still have some more things to discover in the region, ladies and gentlemen. In Bishnupur town, there are just a couple of families still remaining. They make the oldest tradition of playing cards based on 10 avatars of Vishnu. So primarily there are 10 cards. Under every avatar, there will be 4 ministers. So altogether, it's a set of 120 cards made out of starched cloth, cut into roundish shape, painted in vegetable dye. It's a very complicated game, but it is a fine artwork also, real playing cards, Dasavatara, based on the 10 avatars of Vishnu. And the men only make these cards. What do the women do? Just cooking? No. They also make beautiful putul or hand-pressured, finger-pressured clay dolls for the kids. We call them hingul putul because hingul means rock mercury. When you crush rock mercury into fine grains, it produces this red color. All the red colors that you see there, production of this rock mercury powder, and the yellow is raw yellow turmeric. So the women make these dolls and men make Dashavatar, 10 avatars playing card. That is Bishnupur. Leaving Bishnupur, now we will be heading towards another region, Purulia. En route, you can still see the pottery. Again, this horse, simple one that you see, it reminds you of the Harappan toy tradition, isn't it? But en route, our next destination to Purulia district, we will stop at a place called Bikna. Bikna is a cluster of tribal lost wax called Dokra tradition. The Dokra maker people were originally fully nomadic. Now they are settling down as semi-nomadic because they travel all the time between Bishnupur, Bakura district Purulia district, and Jharkhand provinces, Ranchi and Hazaribagh. So this is a Jharkhand tradition surviving in Bengal for last at least 250 years. They're made of brass metal. They also make the religious icons and also utensils and certain decorative things like the oil lamp that you see. And this tribal lost wax is very different from the other lost wax style known in South India from Swami Malai. That is very sophisticated, following a certain class of iconography. Here it is very crude tribal with its own beauty. That's what you see. You can visit this village. The visit will be interactive. They all speak Bengali and Hindi, but among them, when they talk, they speak their Malhar dialect, which the Bengalis do not understand at all. And they have beautiful music in Malhar language. They are good singers also. But we are going to Purulia district, to Baghmundi. And these are certain examples of their production. These two owls, they are very old tradition, about 150 years old owls in brass metal that you see from a private collection. They are actually placed in an altar as vehicle of Lakshmi, worshipped regularly. So still you can see a little bit of red patch of red vermilion powder on the nose ring and in the body. Very old tradition. Otherwise, this beautiful owl, it's a wall hanging as a key holder. You can hang your keys from the branch of the tree, because at the bottommost part there will be hooks. Top of the owl there is Ravana. Once again, you saw the clay Ravana. Here it is Dokra Ravana, made in lost wax, and the gentleman is making the lost wax doll with mud covering. Let us go to Baghmundi village. Baghmundi area of western Purulia is dominated by the Munda tribe, and they have their festive dances. The masks are made by Sutradhar community who are not Mundas, and the Mundas are the dancers. This dance form is called Chhau dance. It is very popular in the region of Mayurbhanj and Saraikela of Orissa, in Hazaribagh and Ranchi of Jharkhand, and also in Bankura and Purulia district. It is a very high concentration of the Chhau people in Baghmundi and Chorida village. We are here in Baghmundi. The masks are basically made over a clay mold, number of layers of paper, and then it is dried and then decorated, and finally the clay mold is scrapped out and broken. So the mask is practically a paper mask, which is very light in weight, easy to dance. The Baghmundi Chorida masks are the most decorative and elaborate. When it is completed, you can see they are preparing for a performance, the episode of Mahisasura Mardini, where goddess Durga, consort of Shiva, vanquished a buffalo demon in a battle. So center character is the buffalo demon, violent looking. Behind him, Ganesha and Kartikeya, two sons of Shiva and Parvati, are chasing him. Then there was a fierce battle, and finally this demon is assassinated by the deity. That's what you see, the end part. Exactly as you saw in Kumartuli, the composition in clay icon, here in the dance form, they present the same episode, and they travel from village to village dancing like that. Such a colorful, beautiful tradition. But not that all the tradition religious cults are having icons or forms. Sometimes they just worship spirits, because you'll have to remember, for the tribals, they are animist. The mother earth, the jungle, the hill, the river, the sky are their gods and goddesses. And then there are in between these spirits who can disturb their prosperity. Such one is Kundra. Kundra believed that looks like a wild boar with a black head. So before a nice harvesting season, the family can promise Kundra that if the harvest is good, then they will sacrifice a pig. So after the cultivation is done, when they see the crop is growing beautifully, then they have to sacrifice to please Kundra to have the good harvest. If it is not done, then the harvest will be destroyed in some kind of natural calamity or by some animal or something. So it's a general protection against natural calamity and destruction of crop by the animals. They worship Kundra. Similarly, there are Kiaisini, Duarsini, Bera Devi who are worshipped into the river or in a piece of stone in a jungle or even in the middle of the river bed without any image. There are festivals related to it. In Nirbhaipur, in Purulia, there is a month-long festival dedicated to Bera Devi, where Kiaisini and Duarsini are also worshipped at the same time. And people, the tribal people from adjacent provinces also come and join. It's a very colorful festival. Similarly, we have Bodam Devi. Now, Bodam Devi, normally we do not find any icon. These days, they have started making just a mask of the deity, looks like the face of Durga. It is sprayed, this cult is sprayed all over from Midnapore to Purulia, Bankura district. And just this face is worshipped. If you find ever any statue or the legend, she rides a leopard in the jungle. So Bodam Devi's places are always in the jungle under a big tree on a piece of stone. And people worship to be protected in the jungle from wild animals attack and general protection. The sacrifices are rooster, duck, pigeon, and a lot of rice alcohol. From Purulia, we are heading towards the other end of Purulia from Bagmundi to Gor Panchakot. This was a old medieval kingdom of the Singhdeo family. And in this Singhdeo family, there was a tragedy. One of their daughter children died unmarried, possibly at the night of her marriage. In her remembrance, the royal family initiated a festival considering her soul still comes back to protect and bring prosperity to the family, called Bhadu. So in the whole district, in the whole area, all unmarried women in this period of harvesting, they will worship Vadu. Once again, there is no priest required. The women will sing praising Bhadu as a daughter of their own family, and they will promise a lot of things if Bhadu comes back to her. Offerings can be even toiletries, mirror, lipstick, bangles, whatever an unmarried young girl loves, those will be the offerings. And they will sing whole night and the last night, and the next morning, the clay statue of Bhadu will be immersed into the local river in a pond. So God does not live in the sky. Let us travel to slightly urban area, to another beautiful place in adjacent province, Birbhum. Birbhum district is dominated by the Santal people, and also our destination Shantiniketan is very, very known internationally as University Town of poet Ravindranath Tagore, where the little children are allowed to assist their class under the trees. They are not confined in a classroom made of brick and cement. But this cluster, Shantiniketan, is very, very famous for Kantha stitch embroidery. This is a job of the housewives, recycling their old saris and dhutis and creating beautiful objects. Kantha can be divided into 8 different categories. I am not getting into the detail, but for example, it can be like a bedspread or a stole or a carpet to sit on the ground or anything. So Kantha stitch embroidery to suit the modern age demand is being done also in the saris and in the dress materials. We visit certain villages here, and also we interact with certain national award winning Kantha stitch embroiderers. You are welcome to interact with the women in the village. And again, you can imagine in this village where I am taking you in Bhedia block, the 80% population is Islamic population, and men are all engaged during the daytime into the agricultural field. In their pastime, the women will do all this Kantha stitch work to cater to the big shops in Calcutta city. They are so skilled and they're very welcoming people. All the Muslim families, you are allowed to come inside their home, have a cup of tea, interact. You do not need to buy anything. They have enough order from the big shops, but you have come to know about them by curiosity. They're very, very happy. In a big piece, multiple women will work from all different sides. So they decide a certain style of the embroidery, the stitching technique, and then they take up their own free will to create the collage of the design. So center, there is a medallion. Around it, you can see a lot of different things. Like at the bottom, there is a floral design going on. Above the floral design, there are animals, birds, and a bride is traveling in a palanquin carried by 6 people. And in the procession also, there is a horse and an elephant. So that way it can go in different style of collage work. As you see here also, the copy of tribal motifs where there are people, flower, trees, banana tree, and even ladder or a mud house, everything. So people just filled it with their own ideas, but it's maintaining a certain harmony in the visual impact. That's a deadly aesthetics of this village women that you see in the Kantha stitch in Shantiniketan area. This one is purely geometrical design. We call it Lahari Kantha. Lahar is wave of the water. So it is a wavy geometric design. This is becoming slightly rare in this part and the other part of Bengal, which is Bangladesh as well. Lahari Kantha is rare, but you get to see them. So, but I told you that this is dominated by the Santal tribal villages, and we have a national award winner, Santal jeweler. He makes jewelry out of grass and wild fruit seeds. What you see, a beautiful pair of earrings. We go to his home to interact with him, see his creation. You buy or you do not buy, it doesn't matter. He is happy to welcome people. That will be your complete visit when you interact with the tribes over there. And as I told you, there is the University of Rabindranath Tagore, where the fine art faculty is very, very strong. It has a deep impact on the local village potters. So what they create in their pottery of terracotta is also very creative, very different from the typical folk pottery of other parts of Bengal. That is what you are seeing, the terracotta pottery of Shantiniketan created by local village potters. Also, this is the land of the mystic nomadic singers called bauls, the free souls. If someday I have an opportunity, I'll also play a baul for you. But these bauls are considered as the hidden Buddhists in their cult, because they also believe in the simple reality that nothingness of void is the ultimate reality in the cosmos, and nothing else. All other are illusion. That is why the Bauls and the Sufis are very close to the Buddhists. Possibly after the medieval age, when Buddhism was in decadent situation, many Buddhists took shelter hiding into this Baul cult of Birbhum, Nodia district. And the musical instrument playing, it is ek tara, single string instrument. The body is made of a dry shell of bottle gourd. Shall we proceed a little further? Leaving Shantiniketan via Bardhaman district, Notungram village, we are heading to Krishnanagar. Why Notungram? Notungram has a different tradition of doll or toy making. It's made of wood. So the carpenters are making toys, and this kind of owls, they can be home decoration, also placed at times in Bardhaman district as vehicle of Lakshmi during a particular ritual to Lakshmi. Other toys, if you see, amazing. You will see the woman sculpted in a triangular form. The whole form is slightly triangular. This is also very old, hand carved out of one single piece of wood. And beside Shiva, he definitely doesn't look like the Vedic concept of Shiva that you see everywhere else in India. Here he is a fat belly with an intoxicated eyes. Looks like a happy middle class Bengali gentleman, well fed. Because if you go by the legends or mythology or the description of Shiva, he doesn't fall into the elite society of gods and goddesses haunted by purity and impurity. So he lives in the crematorium surrounded by untouchables, ghosts, and animals. He is the primordial hippie. This is the concept in Bengal. And when we are driving to Krishnanagar, across Bardhaman, we also go through Nodia district, where, I'm sorry, in Bardhaman district, the last village, before coming to Nodia district, it is Nabadvip. Nabadvip is a high seat of Vishnuite philosophical studies. Also, there is Shivite influence. So for a particular Shivite festival of one night, they make a clay face mask of Shiva decorated with a lot of snakes in his crown. And the local people will carry this mask from door to door to show and beg contribution. With the contribution collected, this will be one night celebration to Lord Shiva. Next morning, it will be immersed into the river. So this is a clay mask of Lord Shiva, which is worshipped. And when you reach to Krishnanagar, we visit definitely a village called Ghurni. It is in Nodia district. Ghurni village's potters are very, very well known in the whole country for making realistic human figures, realistic pottery. So you can see a fruit vendor. The fruit vendor and his fruits, everything is made of clay and then painted. And the whole education of human figures, proportion or skin texture and color, everything is learned from father to son. They do not go to any fine art faculty. Friends, you are welcome to interact with these potters and to know how they measure the proportion just like that. We proceed a little further. Not far from Krishnanagar town, just 1.5 hour drive, there is a village at the border of Bangladesh called Gorbhanga. This is a village of the Sufis. The Sufis of Bangladesh about 50 years ago, for certain fundamentalist activities, had to leave Bangladesh, and they found their shelter in this part of Bengal, in Gorbhanga village, where these free souls can live their own way of life. And they are so free in their nature that this Sufi saint, or fakir as we call, can sing praising the Vishnuite prophet Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda Mahaprabhu, or praising the consort of Krishna, Radha, openly in their performance. And they are not considered as intruder by the Vishnuite disciples, rather welcomed with respect. Just like the Bauls. The Baul and the Sufis, they go along very well. But we are heading further north to Murshidabad. En route, the cults that we see, again, Ola Bibi. Bibi is an Islamic connotation. So Ola Bibi or Olai Chondi, it's a Hindu name. This cult is worshipped together with the same ritual, with the same offerings by the Muslims and Hindu. At the same time, Ola, it's no Ola cab. Ola Uto is a deadly disease known as cholera. So during the monsoon season, to be protected from cholera epidemic, Ola Bibi is worshipped along with her 6 other sisters surrounding her. The elder sister is Ola Bibi or Olai Chondi. Respected, worshipped, festival celebrated by Hindus and Muslims together. Here, the fundamentalist interpretation of Hinduism or Islam, nothing works. People are more for freedom of thought. So also when you come to Buddha Shiva, old Shiva clearly sitting intoxicated. This big clay icon of Shiva is worshipped. And after worshipping, during the worshipping also, they offer a lot of cannabis and alcohol. And finally, during the immersion ceremony, it is worth seeing that they carry on shoulder this big statue on bamboo poles. And en route, they stop time to time because it's so heavy. And when they again lift it, sometimes the porters, they will say, no, 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 he is getting heavier because he needs more offering. So tons of cannabis will be burnt once again. The porters will take a little bit prasadam from that offering, and then they will continue for some distance and again will stop for another dose of cannabis. Thus they continue the procession whole night. Early in the morning, it will be immersed into the river. That is Shiva in Bengal. We are heading to Murshidabad, the old Nawabi capital of medieval Bengal, which was under Islamic rule for a long time. And en route, we are stopping at Kathalia village for a very different kind of pottery. Kathalia village's pottery is marked by this base white color and red and blue combination. They make pottery out of their experience of everyday life for the little kids. They make pottery like women grinding rice grain or wheat to make flour, or beating paddy to dehusk everything. So by playing with these toys and watching their mother's generation, the little kids, they learn their way of life in the village. This is Kathalia toys. We are heading further north to Malda and Dinajpur district from Murshidabad. When you come to Malda, the tribal community is different. But before I leave Malda for the folk tradition, I must stop at these historical monuments. The largest mosque in the world, if you see, which is larger in territory than the Mosque of Damascus, it is Adina Mosque of Malda, because Goud and Malda is having a huge architectural tradition grown in the medieval age. This is the place to see a very different kind of architecture and aesthetics in mosques with colorful enamel work on terracotta bricks. That's what you see. All the construction is made of stone, the base is made of stone, and above it, the arch and the pillars are of terracotta bricks, and they were very, very colorful with enamel work, or minakari, as we call. It's worth staying for a couple of nights in Malda, and then we proceed for the local tradition. Here, the tribes will be Shobor, Lodha, Rajbangshi, and gradually we head farther north, there will be Lepchas. They have their shamanic dance form. The carpenters make masks for their shamanic dances out of single piece of wood. These masks dances are sometimes related also with the Shivite legends. So any festival related to the Shivite religious cult will be celebrated by these tribes with this mask dance. And sometimes also it becomes totem, as the village shaman will do a certain ritual on these masks, inviting the spirits of the ancestors. And when the dancer puts this mask on their face, they are induced. So it will be the shamanic dance. What you see, Gambhira masks will have holes in their eyes so they can see through these holes and dance. But when you go a little farther north, there is another tradition. We call it Gamira mask. Gamira, because it is made of gamar wood. Gamar wood is another kind of teak wood. In gamar masks, the eyes will be all painted, blocked, but below the eye level, there will be small holes or a slit from which they can see. So actually, one who wear the mask, the eyes of the mask will be on his forehead level. And then the rituals are same, Shivite or shamanic. These shamanic dances, these shamanic masks, practically through the lectures, they influenced definitely the monastic Buddhist mask dance. You will get a lot of similarities. And there are communities like Rava. Rava masks are very particular. Always base color will be white, and then on it vegetable dyes, and they make 3 different kinds of masks. I'm not going into much detail about it, but the bottommost is made of bottle gourd. The narrower part is the top of the bottle gourd, and the bottom part is wider. That is put on the face, and the ears of the crocodile that you see, these ears are made of leather, goat skin leather, stitched with the bottle gourd mask. So a lot of shamanic dance tradition are still surviving in north of Bengal, but we are heading towards the Duars area, which used to be the Bhutanese territory in pre-colonial era, annexed to India by British East India Company. In this area, we have jungle, tiger, wild animals, and then you need protection. So let's see, what do they do? En route, we go through Kunur village of Dinajpur district, where the clay dolls are representing the real proletariat culture. As you see, the working women class. These villagers, they work in the tea plantation, in agricultural field as hired labor. They also work in the road construction or in a house construction. Women work and take care of their children at the same time, which is reflected even in their toys. In Kunur village, very particular. But we are heading to Jalpaiguri and Coach Bihar district. Coming into Jalpaiguri, we have a cult of Pir Sahib. Pir Sahib, again, coming from the Islamic parameter, but Muslims and Hindus, as usual, worshipped together with the same kind of offerings called shirni. Shirni is a kind of rice pudding with a lot of fruits can be added, like a fruit custard, very sweet, offered to Pir Sahib for a general protection. And then there is also the cult of Bhandarni. Bhandarni is directly an emanation of goddess Durga of South Bengal. It is the legend that after the celebration of the month of October, when goddess Durga was traveling back to her abode, to the house of Lord Shiva in Kailasa mountain, she was very tired in North Bengal jungles. So she stayed back for some time and the villagers treated her well and she blessed her with a lot of prosperity. So here she is represented as riding a tiger, goddess Durga, no more multiple hands, just two hands, just riding a tiger. She is going back home. All the battle scenes are over here. She is called Bhandarni, who offers prosperity. And then there is Masan Devota. Masan, scholars will relate distantly with the Buddhist Mahasiddha, one of the 84 Mahasiddhas, Guru Tilopa, because offering is obligatorily a fish, charcoal burnt or baked. This Masan Devata looks violent, but Tilopa is also looks a slightly angry kind of face sometime. So scholars relate him with the Buddhism. Otherwise, Manik Pir, legend says Manik Pir and his brother used to travel from village to village to treat the Sikh animals, cattle, particularly the cows. See, here in Islamic rituals, when we sacrifice cows to Allah, there was some Manik Pir and his brother used to treat ill health cows. So for the protection of the domestic animals, Hindus and Muslims all pray to Manik Pir. And we do not have always a statue of Manik Pir. He is represented in a temple just by an animal. It can be a cow, it can be an elephant or a horse. Hindus and Muslims both come together. And this is also a jungle area. In South Bengal, in the mangrove forest area, we had Dakshin Roy, or the Lord of the South. Here in North Bengal, riding the tiger is Sona Rai, the Lord who protects from tiger attack in the jungle. So finally, I talked about a lot of religious and social festivals. These festivals, how can they be completed without Rangoli or Kolam, or as we call in Bengali, Alpona? Very symbolic. When you see these footprints going, then you definitely know that in the house there is the worshipping of deity of prosperity, Lakshmi. So the lady is actually decorating the main seat of the worshipping. You see the footprints are going upward with the fingers created on both sides, the center column that is going towards the main seat. So Lakshmi is going there to sit, and the rituals will be done without any statue, just a bowl of rice paddy, putting some coins into it, and maybe one owl will be placed in pottery or in woodcraft, and the priest will come and worship. It is Lakshmi Puja. And in the main courtyard where we welcome the guests, that also will be decorated. All the white that you see, it is made of rice flour solution. Just a thin solution of rice flour in water. This is my Bengal, ladies and gentlemen. From southern part of Bengal to extreme north, what you have experienced, people celebrate their life, their experience called life, without caring much about the religious parameter. So a Sufi can come into the devotional songs dedicated to Bishnuid prophets, and a Baul can sing praising Allah, the otherwise pushed away by Brahminical Hinduism, low caste untouchables can join hand with the tribals for the same festivals, and Hindus and Muslims can worship the same deity with the same rituals. Practically, people enjoy, they rejoice their experience of living called life. Gentlemen, you are also welcome to join us.
Thank you so much, Shubhamoy, for this lovely presentation. Uh, I hope everyone enjoyed it as much as I did. Uh, Thank you so much for this, Shubhamoy. Uh, yeah, my screen got stuck as usual. Thank you all for attending this webinar. Should you have any queries on today's webinar, please get in touch with your relationship manager at the relationship manager or the Destination Knowledge Center. Alternatively, you can write to Joyita Das Gupta, who heads our Kolkata office. Please give us your feedback as it helps us to improve and get better. And don't forget by filling the poll, and don't forget to click the leave button when you decide to exit the webinar after participating in the poll. Thank you once again. Thank you, Shomoida. Thank you so much. And everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and my best wishes to everyone. Thank you so much.
I thank you all for having so much of patience to go through this webinar, and I feel really honored